What's up, guys? It's Cloud2K here, and welcome back to the Cloud Report. So today on the Cloud Report, as I don't know if you can really tell, but I not really feel my best today. So my hair is kind of a mess. I'm not even really dressed up for it, and because of that, I think we're going to do a little bit of a shorter episode today. I'm trying to do these between 10 and 15 minutes, but the past couple have been 20 plus, even 30 minutes, and which has been fine. I've been enjoying talking, and I'm hoping you guys are liking listening, but I'm just really not feeling up to it today. So there's just a couple things I want to kind of talk about. And, you know, it's going to start with last episode we talked about the Joel Embiid altercation, and I talked about it a little bit more on a podcast with Levi this past Wednesday. And since I've then talked about it on this show, and we updated on the podcast, Joel Embiid did indeed get suspended for 3 games. And honestly, I think I understand why they did it. Like, I think a lot of us understand that Joel Embiid was probably in his right to do what he did. I mean, it's never really okay to shove somebody, but, you know, the way he talked about his son and his little brother, and that, you know, we talked about it all last week. The NBA did decide to suspend him for 3 games. He already served his first game against the Clippers, and they then play the Sixers then play the Lakers and the Hornets. And then November 12th, they're a home game against the Knicks. It's the opener of the NBA Cup, and that will be the game Joel Embiid comes back and plays. That'll be his season debut. So hopefully within the next week or so from recording this, actually, I think I'm recording this on the 10th. So in a couple days from as I'm recording this and you guys are seeing this, Joel Embiid will hopefully, as barring nothing else going on, has his season debut with Paul George being there. But that then leads us into the next thing I want to talk about today is there's been some more injuries. This has been an extremely injury-riddled season, and there's a couple more people to talk about. One is his teammate, Tyrese Maxey, and I had to pull it up here. I believe it's a hamstring. Yeah, it's a right hamstring, expected to miss multiple weeks. Philadelphia 76ers guard Tyrese Maxey is the latest star injured. Per the reports, I had to pull it up here. Per multiple reports, the 24-year-old Maxey expected to miss at least 2 weeks with a right hamstring injury. And they had the full evaluation and stuff like that. And he's playing really well, though. He's averaging almost 28 points a game, and he's damn near leading the league in minutes. Like, he's damn near playing 40 minutes a game. Tyrese Maxey's been really, really good to start the season, but obviously the 76ers have not been good because they've been missing Paul George. They've been missing Joel Embiid, and it's just, as good as Tyrese Maxey is, he isn't really able to carry this team by himself to a bunch of victories. And then obviously, you know, the first game, Paul George was back. They gave him the game-winning shot. He didn't miss it. That caused a lot of people to be upset online because Tyrese Maxey was having a really, really, really good game. And instead, in the fourth quarter, pretty much stood in the corner, did nothing. I don't know if that was by design of Nick Nurse and the coaching staff, or was that Paul George just wanted to come in and make a statement in his first game. I don't really know. We'll never know. Frustrating. So, more players out. More players out with injuries. It's been a really, really rough start. And that brings us to the next big injury. Kevin Durant had a calf strain, and he's out for at least 2 weeks here. I had to pull it up. Durant will miss at least the next 2 weeks while recovering from a left calf strain, and he suffered it in Friday's dramatic 114-113 victory over Dallas. The Suns announced Saturday Durant will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. They're 8-1 at that point. I think they're 9-1 now, or did they play their... I think they might still be. I don't remember if they played the game last night. Honestly, like I said, I've been a little bit sick since last evening, so I'm a little bit out of it. Yeah, I don't think they played last night because there was only like 5 games on last night. But also some good games. Shout out, man. I thought the Spurs, man. That's not what I want to talk about today, but because I just thought about it, man. The Spurs, you know, they're really playing well. Stephon Castle's having a really, really good game, and then fouls on the 3-point attempt. And they make all 3, and then Wemby had the offensive foul all within like the last minute of the game. They ended up losing that game. That was a bummer, but yeah, shout out Wemby. He's been playing better. He's still taking a lot of jump shots, and I know some people like are saying, hey, like that's just his play style, which to a degree I understand. It is kind of frustrating still watching because he's never really been a league average shooter. I think maybe 1 year in his professional career over in France he shot like above 30-some%. Like he has the ability, yes, but should he be taking 7 threes a game? I don't believe so. If you believe so, that's okay. I'm not here to argue with that. Back to Kevin Durant. Again, the Suns are 8-1. They're first place in the Western Conference, which is, I think, a really, really big surprise. I don't think a lot of people expected them to be not only leading the conference, but probably top 4. There's been sirens going on all day, so if you guys hear them in the background, my bad. Hopefully you guys don't hear that. But a lot of people, myself included, did not have Suns top 4 in the Western Conference. And through the first 9 to 10 games, they are number 1. Again, it's only the first 10 games, so first 9 or 10 games. So this definitely isn't like set in stone that they're going to be the 1 seed. But out the gate, they're looking pretty good. And Kevin Durant's been kind of the leading factor for that. And he's going to be out for at least 2 weeks. I'm not saying it's going to ruin their season by any means, but that definitely, it could be a time. It could be a time where we see kind of what the Suns are really about. With obviously Devin Booker, been there for years. I think he has no problem leading the team. But between Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Ryan Dunn's been playing really well as well, the rookie. So we'll see if they can at least keep themselves afloat, which I don't think they'll have a problem with. But I think this is going to be the biggest thing about keeping this season going for them, is just kind of staying afloat without Kevin Durant. But the main thing I want to talk about today, and I had pulled up here, was the Detroit Pistons. The Detroit Pistons are 4-6 right now. If you guys remember, it took them until game 40 last year to win their 4th game. They were 40-36 because they went on that 28-game losing streak. That's just kind of a hard thing to fathom. It's a really hard thing to fathom. They were 4-36. They lost 36 games before they won their 4th last season, and now they're 4-6. They had to play 10 games. They lost 6 before they won their 4th. It's just good. Like they started off the season really rough, and they were a known collapsing fourth quarter team. In the past couple of fourth quarters, they have not done that, and it's included the win over the Lakers, which, shout out my Lakers, shout out my Lakers. They beat Atlanta too. Not the craziest. They haven't had the craziest hard schedule to start, but it's been a couple good wins, and you can't really be upset about that. And the biggest 2 reasons I've enjoyed watching is Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. They're both high draft picks for this Detroit team, and they've both been really good. Right now, Jaden Ivey right now, they're having 20 points, 4 rebounds, about 4 assists too. And, going into this season, I think a lot of people were on the fence about Jaden Ivey. He hasn't been very good, I don't want to say very good, but he hasn't been very efficient. They've been having a hard time kind of fitting between him, Cade Cunningham, and Jaden Ivey on the court. I think a lot of that could have been Monty Williams, because he made it very clear Monty Williams did not want to coach, and then they paid him a lot of money. And I think that's part of the reason that that backcourt kind of struggled. And I think part of the reason the Detroit Pistons have been bad the past year or two is because they had a coach that, frankly, just did not want to coach but got paid a lot of money. He's been really good. And then, obviously, Cade Cunningham is kind of the leader of this team. He's right now averaging 23 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. And honestly, I feel like this is the most poised we've seen Cade Cunningham. He's always been a guy to be he's a tough shot taker. And in the first couple years of his career, he was a tough shot taker, but wasn't quite a tough shot maker. And I feel like that's something that's been the biggest difference. Now, he's definitely had still some shots where it's like, okay, man, it's pretty early in the shot clock. We're taking that kind of shot. Okay, a little bit weird. But for the most part, he's been hitting a lot of them. He has 3 straight triple-doubles against LA. He had 17 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists. Against Charlotte, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. And then against Atlanta on Friday night, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists. I don't think this team is quite ready to call a play-in team. I don't think they quite have the talent. But I think this is definitely a better step. I mean, it's not hard to see 4-36 to now 4-6. And again, I guess there's a world where they lose 30 straight and they end up 4-36 anyway. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. I just think it's very, very unlikely. I think this is a team that's definitely taken a step. The step we've been waiting for them to take the past year or two. We've seen that they have pieces there. They have young pieces. And we've been kind of hoping for this step. And we're doing this all without Ausar Thompson. Because I pulled up here, statistically right now, they are the 13th ranked defense in the league. Which, middle of the pack is very, very good. And this is without Ausar Thompson, probably their best perimeter. I don't even know if it's probably their best perimeter defender. Hopefully we can get him playing soon. There's a world, again, it's early. I don't want to, get too crazy. But they could have a borderline top 10 defense in this league. And I think that's a really, really good thing to hang your hat on if you're Detroit. Detroit's known for being a defensive-heavy team since the 2000s when they obviously won their championship with the Ben Wallace, Rasheed, all that kind of stuff. So I think being a very good defensive team is a really good way, especially as a young team. If you can buy in defensively, you create turnovers, you get on the fast break, because right now they are the 23rd offense in the league. They're definitely not a good half-court offense. There's a lot of young players trying to figure out how to play together, and bringing Ausar in isn't going to help that offense right now, unfortunately. His offense still has a long way to go. So we're hoping bringing Asar back in, he's got shooting, he's got spacing right now, or Cade Cunningham's got spacing right now with Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley, which is a big, big thing. Isaiah Stewart, they're kind of done with that whole experiment with him being a stretch 4, which I'm glad, because I prefer him just be your backup 5. I don't know, Detroit right now, 4-6, like I said, 13th defensively. I think that could be top 10. I think that very much could be top 10. And I think this is the season where, if you're a Detroit Pistons fan, you're saying, okay, we're not going to be good, but we have something to look forward to. Last season, you're like, okay, we're not good. We're actually the worst team. Like, we're excruciatingly, that's the word I'm looking for, awful. Like, 28 straight games they lost. It was bad. There wasn't really a lot to look forward to. But now, you're seeing a lot of your young stars between Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, again, hoping and praying they stay healthy, playing really, really well. You've yet to see Asar Thompson. You're hoping that, you know what he's going to bring defensively, but you're hoping if he can just be a consistent, I think, and let me pull up the stats because I don't want to be wrong here, but if you can damn near get close to 30% for Asar Thompson from 3, I don't think you're going to at this point in time. Yeah, he shot 18%, almost 19% last year, so maybe 30% is a bit of a jump, but if you get him close to 30%, again, he's not going to be a respected shooter, but you got to at least have him be able to hit a jump shot when, I don't want to say when you need it, but listen, we're going to kick it out to Asar Thompson on a Cade Cunningham or Jaden Ivey drive. We don't know if he's going to make it, but man, if he hits one or so a game just to say, hey, I can step out in that corner and I don't have to be stuck down in the mid-range all the time, I think it's going to be really, really big for the team. But again, like I said, I don't want to go too deep into this because I'm starting to not feel well talking all this kind of much, and I still got to record another video for this week ahead, so I don't want to make myself sick. But Detroit, man, I think you got a lot of stuff to look forward to. I think you hopefully have found your backcourt of the future between Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. Jalen Duren's a guy that's always going to have flashes of maybe he could be a really, really good starting center. Then he has moments where it's like, oh, you can tell he's still young. So you're hoping that kind of figures it out. Again, Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. have been really, really good, just like stretch, like spacing additions, what I'm kind of looking for. Tobias Harris, a veteran that's able to put the ball on the floor, kind of take a leadership role too. Detroit, man, again, you guys, I don't think you guys are going to be a playing team. I could be wrong. Maybe you guys sneak in as a 10th seed in the Eastern Conference, which is just not very good right now. But I don't see that happening. But at the end of the day, I think you got to see within a season or two, 1 or 2 more seasons from now, you guys maybe could be making that play-in push, which is a much brighter outlook than what you guys were looking at last year. Detroit, I enjoy watching you guys. I like a lot of the players on your team, and I'm rooting for you guys. I really am. So, at the end of the episode, you guys know we like to do fan questions, but before we do that, let's get a commercial break. Oh, man. Hey, you.
Who, me?
What are you doing?
Nothing. I'm just kind of bored right now.
Do you like sports?
Yeah, I like sports.
How about podcasts?
Yeah, who doesn't listen to a podcast nowadays?
Then you should check out Time Out with J&G. Check out Time Out with J&G every Wednesday as they give their expert opinions and professional picks on NFL, NBA, and college football. Anything you could want, they do. Check it out on the screen now. Let's go.
Whoa, this podcast is awesome. Thanks, weird voice.
So now we're back from the commercial break. We have our 2 fan questions of today. I put the poll on Twitter, or the question on Twitter, usually Friday, Saturday, depending. Just saying, hey, I'm going to record this episode soon. What are some questions you want me to answer on the Cloud Report? And our first one comes from Levi, Tennessee. Are the 76ers going to make the playoffs or the play-in? And, this is a topical because of with Joel Embiid's suspension and now Tyrese Maxey injury. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be stuck in the play-in. I mean, I understand maybe the 7-8 seed, but if you pull up the Eastern Conference standings right now, it's not good. I'm pretty sure there's only 2 teams. There's 2 teams above 500 right now, and there's 1 team, the Knicks, at 500. You have the Cavs, who just won last night and are now 11-0. You have the Celtics, who are 8-2. The Knicks at 4-4, and then the Hornets at 4-5. The Pacers at 4-5. Right now, they're last. They're 1-7. Okay, I figured they were low. That's actually kind of crazy to think about. Man, actually, right now, the Pistons are the 6th seed. I was talking about them earlier not making the playoffs, but right now, damn, they're okay. But no, I think they're missing one of the best players in the NBA. He hasn't played a single second yet. Paul George is a good NBA player. I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about Paul George, but he's a good, impactful NBA player. I think he's going to be better than what you got from Tobias Harris last year. Tyrese Maxey has shown he's one of the best young point guards in the league. I think you give this team 2 to 3 weeks to kind of get together, Tyrese Maxey to get back, Joel Embiid to kind of be in rhythm. I think they're going to finish as a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. I think the Cavs are looking good. I think the Celtics are going to take over that 1 seed, though, eventually. I think the Knicks are going to be good. And then I think the 76ers are going to be in that hole. The Bucks are obviously a wild card right now. They have a lot going on. So I don't want to count out the Bucks, but right now, I don't think the Bucks are contenders. So I'm going to probably put them between the 5 and 7 seed. But yeah, I do think, obviously, they got to be at least a 6 seed. I think they could be a top 4 seed. I don't think there's a world with this team being healthy that they're not a top 6 seed for the play-in. So I'm going to say yes. They get past the play-in, and they are a play-off team, not a play-in team. Next is from Brighton Season. Are the Warriors the real deal? Now, the Warriors have been really good to start this year. They did lose their game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which a lot of people thought was going to be a lot better game than it was. It ended up being kind of half of a blowout. They play OKC tonight as I'm recording this, but they are 7-2 right now, and their 2 losses this year were to the Cavaliers. They beat the Celtics. They beat the Wizards, whatever. They beat the Rockets. Okay. They beat the Pelicans. Yeah, Pelicans back-to-back. And then they lost to the Clippers on October 27th. It was one of the first games of the season. I think they're really good. I think they're really good. And when you're saying real deal, I'm assuming you mean like I'm just going to take it as like a playoff team, not a play-in team. And I definitely think there's a world where that happens. I mean, let's look at the standings right now. The Warriors at 7-2 are the 3 seed. The Suns and the Thunder are tied at pretty much for the 1 seed at 8-1. And then it's the Warriors. The Timberwolves, the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, Clippers, Rockets, Lakers, Mavericks are your play-in teams, or like kind of round at the list. I do think the Timberwolves are going to jump them in the standings. The Nuggets, I don't know yet. They still got a lot going on. I don't want to say the Nuggets are going to jump this Warriors team because right now the Warriors are just looking better. But the Grizzlies also have been kind of okay to start. I think they could be a top 6 seed, and that's what I'm going to consider a real deal. I think they could be a top 6 seed. I think there's a world they could win a first round series. So again, that's kind of how I'm going to have to answer that. They've one of the best defenses in the league. Right now, the Golden State Warriors have the number 2 defense in the NBA behind only the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Thunder have it by quite a lot. But the defense has been really good between Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga has been. There's a lot going on with Jonathan Kuminga right now. Tracy Jackson Davis has been really good. Like I like this Warriors team. Obviously, with Steph Curry having a top player in the league, they're always going to have a chance. They're going to have a fighter's chance. They even won some games with him being out. Now, they still have to figure out what's going on with Jonathan Kuminga and where he kind of really fits. But I think between Steph and Draymond Green, the two of them being the veterans that they are, Steve Kerr is still a good NBA head coach, even though I have my issues or my reservations with Steve Kerr as a coach. He's still a good coach. I think the Warriors are the real deal. And again, I'm using that in the sentence of they're going to be a playoff team, not a play-in team, and I think they could win a first-round series. Do I see them as contenders? I don't know if I do. Maybe Warriors fans won't like that. I think, would I be surprised if they won? Yes. But, like, I don't know. I don't think they're contenders at this moment, but I think they're, like, right there on that cusp. I think if we can see this consistently for the next 10 to 15 games where it's like, okay, this is real, I wouldn't be afraid to put them in that contenders list. So that's what I'm going to go with. And then that's our 2 questions for today. I hope you guys watch. I'm sorry it's a little bit shorter than the last ones. I'm just not feeling my best. I got to go record some other videos for the week. So that's going to be a lot of fun to try to keep my lunch down. But I appreciate you guys watching. Go check out the podcast, Time Out with J and G. On this channel, go down, like, comment, subscribe. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers, and I cannot do that without you guys' help. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.